Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the It's the Pictures podcast. This is episode number 192, and I am your host, Max Colville. Joining me, as always, is my co host, Evan Crean. Hi, Evan.
Hey Max, how's it going?
It's going great. Going great. We're getting the box office rejuvenated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The summer movie season's about to start. We have a big feature on today where we're going to talk about some of our, I don't know necessarily our anticipated movies, but the movies that we deem will make the most money at the box office. An annual game that is become a tradition here. It's the Pitchers. Are you looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to this year's game, Evan?
I am. Learn some valuable lessons from last year's game in terms of movies to pick. So I'm hoping I perform slightly better at least this year than I did last year.
Yeah, I mean, like it was growing pains. This is your and my second time doing this. You grabbed the wheels last year and made some picks. You ended up getting Deadpool and Wolverine as the top one, and that one certainly performed as both of us expected. But there was a few other kind of misses in the mix there as well.
Yep. It will definitely be interesting to see how things unfold this year. The surprises, things that make more money than we're expecting, and the things that make a lot less money than we're expecting.
Yeah, and it's funny, Evan, and you know that I do the summer box office for fun because I just feel like an armchair kind of guy on it. But there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who made these big thoughts about Mickey 17 and how it might have disappointed at the box office, and whoa, poor Warner Brothers, they're taking a big hit. And at the end of the day, I don't really care if these movies succeed or not, as far as like if it makes the studio happy. I
Mm-hmm.
just care if like the creatives involved get more opportunities to make movies that I like. I
Yes, I hear
I,
that.
I don't think Bon Joon Ho needs to worry about Mickey 17 being a financial miss that he won't get funding for his next movie.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
But Evan, one of the things that we used to do annually on the show also was a Cannes Film Festival preview. Uh, I guess over the years we found it more. I guess I'll use the word silly to kind of do a preview on it because half the movies we won't even see until the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to like really preview a movie you don't know too much about.
Right. But
So the festival slate was announced the other day, and in competition were some film names that you and I would probably recognize, like Joachim Trier. His movie Sentimental Value is premiering at the fest. He did Worst Person in the World famously a few years ago, and that one was I really
mm-hmm.
enjoyed that. Kelly Reichardt's new film, The Mastermind, a new film by Richard Linklater. Uh, Ari
Yep.
Aster's new film, Eddington, is premiering in competition.
Yeah, and I think I saw this as his first outing at Cannes.
Yeah, and I didn't see the Joaquin Phoenix movie he did, the Beau is Afraid, but
Ugh.
I liked
That's all
I
I'll
liked
say.
yeah, I liked Midsummer okay.
Yes. Loved Midsummer. Loved Hereditary for me.
Wes Anderson, there's already a trailer for his new movie, The Phoenician Scheme. It definitely looks like a
Yep.
Wes Anderson movie. And other than that, I saw Julia Ducournau with a new film called Alpha, and I think she was the director of Titane,
Yep.
and so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep. There's also a couple actors that are making their directorial debuts with films at the festival. Scarlett Johansson has a film, Eleanor the Great, that's going to be playing there. And also Harris Dickinson has a movie called Urchin, his directorial debut.
Yeah, I think that Scarlett Johansson directed feature has like June Squibb in the lead, so
Hmm.
that should be a lot of fun. I sometimes find like that there can be good surprise in the uncertain regard category. A few years ago, After Sun premiered in that category, and I remember people just loving that, and I ended up enjoying it quite a bit myself when I finally got around to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't end up seeing it, but yeah, I know a lot of people really loved it.
And appearing out of competition will be the latest Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning. And I think Spike Lee kind of splashed the party after all the announcements were made and said that he has been invited to do out of competition for his High and Low remake, highest to lowest. Keep an eye out for that one too. I think who's the lead? Is that Denzel in the highest to lowest?
This is not a film that's on my radar, so
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
yeah, it's a remake of High and Low, the Akira Kurosawa film. Yeah, it's starring Denzel.
I'm not shocked to hear that.
um, and High and Low is an excellent movie. I guess I'll be interested to see how Spike Lee brings his twist to it. But that's kind of the Cannes Film Festival. I don't know. Like we used to like have fun trying to pick a winner just off of names and synopsis. I have no idea this year, Evan. It could be anybody.
It's true. I mean, last year Honora won, and
Right.
I think
and
that definitely surprised a lot of people.
I guess some people are like, if you really want to see who wins, like keep an eye out on who Neon is involved with, because for the last 5 years going, they have acquired the Palme d'Or winner. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're interested to see what film will come out of Cannes as the winner, maybe take a look at their acquisitions.
Yep, it's true.
Let's see. In other news, Evan, it was announced that the Oscars are going to finally recognize uh, stunt categories.
Yeah, I
And
saw that they're gonna do a best stunt design category at the Oscars.
yeah, and I think that's like relevant because a lot of people like hear stunts and they instantly go, "Oh, Tom Cruise," and I'm like, I don't know if
Right.
Tom Cruise really designs his stunts as well as much as like he participates in them.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I think he definitely has a large hand in the stunts that he does. I mean, obviously he performs them himself, but
Yeah,
I do think he has a lot of input from what I understand.
right. And famously last year, Ryan Gosling had a movie called out called The Fall Guy, and that was all about champion um, the people behind the scenes and the stunt performers and stunt designers. So I'm glad that they were finally able to make this movement and get this attention to this group. I understand like maybe it will bring like more blockbuster worthy movies to the broadcast, but it's only if they decide to give it time, right? Because I guess the best visual effects at the Oscars always has the blockbusters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they
Yeah.
all the Oscars always complains that they're short on time, and now they're not only will they introduce that one in 2027, but they're also introducing like best like I think it's like casting director or something like that.
Hmm. That's an interesting Oscar to add. I do think there is great opportunity to honor casting because it really is an art.
Yeah, and I guess an argument could be made that like SAG already honors like best ensemble. I don't know how much is that like how if that's equal to like best casting. I don't know. I don't know
Mm.
like how they would qualify that. But for a
Yeah.
group that wants to get rid of categories in order to make the Oscars faster, it looks like it's only adding categories. So I don't know what they do to make the broadcast reasonable eventually. Maybe I've always argued like maybe even make it longer and make some of the categories out of prime time and just like have people there. I know they'd feel like they weren't getting the same honors on stage at the same time, but it's going to be difficult to do it all in one night and keep the ratings that high.
Yep, that's true. It's tricky.
Because remember, Evan, they used to
It's tricky.
do a sidebar during the Oscars where, like, oh, we gave out like these special Oscar awards at a banquet like last weekend, and
Right.
here's the people who were honored. And I guess like
Yeah, I
they got
remember
to,
they would take time to show those.
yeah, like maybe they'd have the people in the audience at the Oscars, and they would be able to like stand up and wave. All right, moving on from the stunt design category, which will be starting in 2027. Uh, Evan and I kind of led the episode off with saying that the box office is kind of back, and it's on the shoulders of Gen Z theater goers as they've been swarming to the movie theaters to see the movie adaptation of the smash hit video game Minecraft. Uh,
Yep.
maybe early projections would have imagined this film doing okay, but it certainly smashed like modest projections, wouldn't you say, Evan?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in its second, just had its second weekend, and it's already grossed $500 million globally. That's nuts.
Yeah, and it's opening weekend. I think it was a higher opening weekend than the Super Mario Brothers movie. So lots of people,
Wow.
lots of young people turning out for this movie. It hasn't been reviewed well, but maybe it's not necessarily for critics. It seems that audiences are enjoying their time with it, and even making a mess in movie theaters. Have you seen the TikTok trends for Minecraft, Evan?
I have not. That's the first I'm hearing of this. What what are people doing at the theaters?
So I guess there's like a sequence in the movie where Jack Black is like getting ready to fight in a ring or something like that, and there is a character that comes down, and he just says, "Oh no, chicken zombie," and then like everybody in the theater. Oh no, it's Chicken Jockey. Sorry, and everybody in the
Mhm.
theater is then supposed to like throw their popcorn into the air and like make a total mess of the theater. Apparently, there's been like videos of people like bringing like live chickens into Minecraft showings
Good
in order
lord.
to in order for this sequence to happen in this TikTok trend.
I feel like I draw the line at bringing live animals to a theater.
Right, and it's brought up a new argument where like the box office and movie theaters must be loving the business after so long of being disappointed with the slate of movies that have come out so far in 2025, but at what cost, right? I remember talking to somebody, Evan, who would work at the Coolidge Corner Theater, maybe friend of the podcast, Charlie Nash, and he would say like after showings of what was it? That that's the movie that
The Room.
yeah, The Room, right? Like the theater would be trashed with like forks or something everywhere in the theater,
Spoons. Yeah,
spoons.
people would throw spoons at the screen, plastic spoons. I went to screenings and saw that happen of The Room. It's kind of nuts to the point where one of the managers of the theater sometimes would go to the CVS in the corner and buy all of the spoons so that people couldn't go to that CVS and stock up on spoons and then throw them all at the screen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess at what cost, Evan, and where, like, I guess like Regal was kind of leaning into it. They said they have a new thing on Instagram where they say like, if you come to Minecraft on Easter Sunday, which is probably typically a pretty dead day for the movie theater, that
Mhm.
like you can have like a mayhem screening of Minecraft and like all hands would be off deck or something like that. So, um, I don't know.
All right.
I I guess, like, for me, I'm, like, a purist. I'm, like, when I go to the movie theaters, I want, like, nobody sitting next to me. I want, like, I don't wanna be able to see any phone screens. I don't wanna hear anybody talking. I just wanna watch a movie. Whereas, I guess this new generation is, more used to maybe checking something on their phone, or maybe the theater etiquette kind of went downhill after the pandemic. I don't know. I don't want to make it. I feel like I sound so old, Evan, when I say, like, oh, these young kids don't know theater etiquette, but maybe that's the case.
Maybe. I mean, I can't say that I've seen young people at the theater be rude. I feel like I've seen grown adults just being rude at the theater, so I don't even think I can blame, the younger generation so much as people who are just jerks in general.
That's fair. That's fair. I've been to the theater quite a few times, and it wasn't the young folks. It was the older people who would either talk too loud or be, like, asking questions about the movie, why it was on, to, like, their uh, company that they're with, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, like, Evan, a lot of people as in, like, directors, kind of, like, champion the theater going experience and say how lovely it is, but maybe they're in
Hmm.
really plush exclusive settings to watch these movies and not sitting with really obnoxious people.
Yeah, it's likely. It's likely they're not among the general populace.
Yeah, I don't know, like, how much, like, Sean Baker is going into, like, AMC Lincoln Center, like, all the time. Yeah, so Minecraft doing good business. I guess I'm surprised. Maybe that Warner Brothers played it right. Maybe that like April date is now, like, super success for video game movies, whether it was Mario or Minecraft. I guess, like, we'll see other video game movies maybe try to take that spot in April. We're going to move on
Mhm.
to our annual summer movie game contest. Evan and I talked before the episode. We decided to switch it up, and I would pick first. This year, to give an overview of it, is really more of the same in Hollywood as far as the summer goes. There's a lot of sequels, there's a lot of
Yep.
superheroes. Whether or not they all
Legacy
land,
sequels.
what Evan and I will do is I will pick one, and then Evan will pick two, and then I will pick two, so on and so forth until we get to five movies picked apiece. The hope is that we're going to be looking at the domestic box office for these movies and uh, kind of wrapping it up probably around Labor Day in September, maybe a little bit after that. But that
Hmm.
by that point, we typically know where these films stood. We're looking at films mostly from May 1st through August 30th. What else is something that I need to add to this discussion, Evan?
I mean, we'll also do check-ins throughout the summer.
Yeah.
I think last year we did it. Pretty much every new episode we'd say, okay, let's take a peek and let's see how things are going in the game. So you'll get regular updates. It won't just be like, oh, here's the end of the summer and we're all done and here's where it netted out. So you kind of get a chance to see how things are trending. Hopefully this year it won't be like Max is just winning like the entire time. And then he's like really, really winning.
Well, a lot of thought goes into this too, Evan, is that you want to look at the schedule and pick movies that, like, maybe have some room to breathe. That there is
Hmm.
really a skill, I guess, as far as, like, predicting what people will see. But it's funny how the game works out. You got to pick out, like, certain dates and what is more promising than others, and will the movies have enough legs to breathe and get a good box office. Those are all things to consider.
Hmm.
I guess I'll get started, and with my number one film of the summer of 2025, I am selecting Jurassic World Rebirth. This
Ooh.
this
Okay.
yeah, this is the latest film in the Jurassic World franchise. Almost like a soft reboot because we're following a new cast. This time, I think it's like Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey.
Mhm.
And the plot is that it takes place 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, and the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. There's a few remaining places on Earth where they live, and lo and behold, some of these dinosaurs might provide life-saving benefits to humankind. So I guess a crew, including Scarlett Johansson and company, are going to find these dinosaurs. And early trailers make it look like a really action-packed, like shoot 'em up dinosaur movie. Which,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm all over that. Evan, like I usually do. I looked at the comps of Jurassic World movies, and in particular, this movie has a lot of comps given all the Jurassic Park World movies that have come out. The last one, Dominion, was the lowest grossing movie of the Jurassic World trilogy, and it made $376 million domestically. Jurassic World Rebirth has another prime date coming out on 4th of July weekend. It's set to premiere on July 2nd. I think it has a good amount of legs, and uh, these Jurassic World movies usually do well at the box office, and maybe a turn away from Chris Pratt might help it. The thing maybe I'm a little worried about, Evan, is that Scarlett Johansson is really the headliner, and
Mhm.
I don't know if that hurts the movie or not. I think Black Widow did okay as her as the lead, if you want to do like a comp of an action movie with her in it. But how much she needs to draw for the movie, considering there's dinosaurs, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Jurassic Park is a smart pick. As I was kind of looking at movies for this year, I had Jurassic Park or Jurassic World rather kind of on my radar too because, looking back they are pretty solid in terms of delivering at the box office. Even like you said, when it's the least grossing one, it still made $300 million. So that's not too shabby, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. So like, even like, and those movies are really really bad. Like I could say like I like Jurassic World, the first one. Like I was very entertained. I had a good time at the box office, and like yeah, that was good. But like, talk about diminishing returns. The next two sequels are just absolute trash. The Dominion had for it that it brought back the original Jurassic Park cast. So like that was kind of
Mhm.
fun to have um, some of those actors back, like Jeff Goldblum and company. Um, but even then, it wasn't enough to really capture the same box office as the first Jurassic World did. So, um,
Yeah. I think Max, I feel like you and I've talked about this before that like the first Jurassic Park movie, what it really got right is that like sense of awe and wonder, and it just seems like that's been missing in many of the subsequent sequels. And like even if they try to bring back the cast, if they don't have that kind of sense of awe and wonder, I just feel like people are not responding to it strongly.
yeah, I mean, like it came to the point where like it was like super hybrid dinosaurs, and they just not only did it feel like in the movies themselves that they were pushing things too far in order to get an audience, but also like kind of like a meta commentary where they're like, "Oh, T Rex isn't enough to get people in the theaters anymore. We need to make up some weird dinosaurs that might bring people to the movies." So now Evan will get his chance at picks number 2 and 3.
I am gonna start off with Superman, James Gunn's Superman. I
Okay.
think that you know this is a highly anticipated movie. James Gunn he's moved over to the world of DC from Marvel, and I think he's shown that he can deliver for Marvel. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with Superman, and I think that there's enough kind of like riding on this. There's enough notoriety. There's a game change for the DC world and kind of a new beginning. And I feel like they might be able to capture a lot of people that they weren't able to with their kind of last run of movies, that people were just like, oh, it's too dark, it's too boring, it's too that, you know what I mean? And so I feel pretty good about picking his Superman.
Right. And so what James Gunn and DC have currently shown us of his Superman movie, bits and pieces. The first trailer we saw our new Superman, we saw Lois Lane and Lex Luthor, all the actors cast in those parts, and we've also
Mm-hmm.
seen Superman's trusty dog, and there
Yep.
was an extended trailer that came out maybe about 2 weeks ago, where they gave more of that sequence of the dog kind of um, being excited to see Superman, but maybe not realizing its own strength when Superman needed its help, and then the dog proceeding to help Superman and get the vital sun rays he needed to be repaired. It was kind of dark, Evan. I don't know if you saw that feature, but like
I didn't know.
it's kind of like, ooh, that's kind of uncomfortable watching the dog kind of like jump on Superman and Superman wincing and bleeding. And, you know, Gunn has a tradition of like maybe not being so sugary sweet candy. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were fun because
Mm-hmm.
he has that kind of flair. Um, of course, during that time, he also directed The Suicide Squad for DC, and that movie
Yep.
was a little less seen because it came out like as like a pandemic hybrid. Did you see that one, Evan?
I did. Yeah, I was not a huge fan of that one, but also like the previous Suicide Squad, I think was so bad that I was in the middle of watching it, and like I like my streaming platform aired out, and I was like, I am just fine, never finishing this movie.
I was trying to look for a comp for Superman, Evan, and I couldn't necessarily. I don't want to say like Justice League is a comp really because it had like so many other superheroes involved, and I don't know where to put that. And like, I don't necessarily believe like Man of Steel was a comp. So I kind of imagined like DC would probably want it to make as much money as the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice film, and that topped off
Mm,
domestically at 330 million. That I think that would be a big win for James Gunn and company. As you said, this is a movie that their entire plans are riding on.
yep.
If this doesn't do well, I don't know what they do. I'm a fan of Superman. I sometimes I think that he's just overpowered, and maybe that's why I don't love him as much as Batman. He has so a
Yep.
few things that kind of put him down, but I'm excited for James Gunn's um, adaptation. This Superman is the big box office movie that comes out 9 days after Jurassic World Rebirth. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that audience is still going to Rebirth or how much Superman is able to take into the box office on its own.
Yep.
Evan,
For
give
sure.
us your second movie.
Well, my second pick is Thunderbolts, the new Marvel anti-hero movie that's going to be coming out, and the kind of build up to the new Avengers movie and the kind of arc that's leading into it. I think there's been a lot of good buzz, I think, that I've seen about this movie and anticipation of it, and I feel like Marvel, although I feel like enthusiasm overall has kind of petered out on a lot of what they've been doing, especially with stuff like the new Captain America movie. Having a movie of anti-heroes feels like it's not the same thing that they've been doing over and over again. So maybe that's a little more promising in terms of what we can expect from the box office. I know I certainly like the cast quite a bit. I think that will be pretty cool. I mean, Sebastian Stan, we know him from the other MCU movies and think he's pretty well liked as an actor. Same thing with Florence Pugh. So like having them kind of leading the charge on this, I think. I don't know. I have a good feeling about it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like Evan, when I was looking at this movie, I was like, it's kind of Marvel's take on the Suicide Squad because it's also villains and kind of outcasts
Mhm.
being assembled to do a mission nobody else is really qualified to do. I didn't know what the comp for this was either because like as we said, outside of Deadpool and Wolverine, the Marvel movies just haven't been crushing the box office as of late. You would certainly have expectations that would do better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or the Marvels. Even you would probably hope that it did better than the more recent Captain America movie that just came out.
Yep.
It is a team up movie, and typically those do pretty well for Marvel, as we can see from Avengers. Thunderbolts is also launching the summer movie season in that first weekend that box office pundits really love to see a movie do well, and they hope that it opens up over 100 million. I don't know. I'm not as psyched about Thunderbolts. It's certainly on my list. But Marvel movies, it used to be like a sure bet. I don't know where we are this year. Certainly, I will be honest with you, Evan, that I will be taking the other Marvel movie.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna go for Fantastic Four.
Yeah, so Marvel's not completely dead. But before I take
Nope.
Fantastic Four, let me write down Thunderbolts for you. I did. So now I get to pick my second and third film. My second film is going to be Lilo and Stitch. It is,
Oh, okay.
it's opening May 23rd. This is a live action adaptation of the beloved Lilo and Stitch animated movie where a failed experiment escapes and to Earth where it becomes the friendly pet of a little girl. I think that from at least the feeling I got how the trailer played out over the Super Bowl, that was a teaser, and they had the longer trailer out recently that this will be a stronger live action movie than Snow White did because that one just came out and kind of bombed. But I think there's room for a Lilo and Stitch adaptation in this world, and by
Mhm.
golly, I think that this one's gonna do okay. It's set from May 23rd, which I think puts it right around Memorial Day weekend. That should be a pretty strong start for it.
Mhm. Smart.
Yeah, and it's a family movie. People want to see it. I know. My daughter's seen the animated movie. We'll probably go see this one, so that's another one. Another bought ticket. I kind of put the comp for Lilo and Stitch. I thought like if it does Little Mermaid business, which that was around 300 million domestic, that would be a big win for Disney. I think that this is stronger than like what Mufasa kind of did, where that one legged out to about like 240 million. But we're not gonna put Lilo and Stitch into the Lion King or Beauty and the Beast world, and so I think a comp to Little Mermaid's probably appropriate for that.
Mhm.
Um, and then for my third movie, I am going to take the Fantastic Four First Steps. I don't. I'm not picking this one for any strong reasons, Evan, other than being Marvel. This is like probably the third or fourth time that the Fantastic Four has been tried as a movie. Previously,
Oh,
Fox did it with like two different casts, and those never really worked out. Maybe the hope is that once you slap the Marvel Studios branding onto a Fantastic Four movie, that it finally turns into the the box office success that you would imagine a Fantastic Four movie would do.
yeah, and some interesting casting, I think, of people. More interesting than previous iterations of Fantastic Four, I think. Anyway.
Right. This has like Joseph Quinn and Vanessa Kirby and Ebon Moss. Um, what's his name, Bacharach, and what's his name, who's the lead guy
Pedro
there,
Pascal.
who's escaping. Yeah, Pedro Pascal is the lead, so yeah, maybe the chemistry between these four actors will be better. I don't know. We'll see how it ultimately does. As far as Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four are involved with that Avengers Doomsday casting, they kind of said that most of the characters from Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts will be involved. So it would be in Marvel's best interest to make good movies. I think like Evan, that's going to be a barrier. Like people used to go to Marvel movies and be like, yeah, this is going to be a good time. It's going to be reviewed pretty well, and I'm going to enjoy myself. But as of late, the movies themselves just haven't been critically that well
Mm-hmm.
received, and maybe that has something to do with the diminishing box office of these movies. I don't know. I hope both Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts do okay. I they seem more exciting than some of the stuff that Marvel's been putting out, but there remains to be seen if audiences will turn up in the same
Yeah,
amount
it's
for them.
true, but you did raise a good point though that if they're going to be as connected with that upcoming Avengers movie, that kind of gives the completionist folks, the people who want to be in the loop, the kind of nudge to go see them.
So, Evan, why don't you give me your 3 and 4?
Okay. Let's see. So I'm gonna go with Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I mean, I think Tom Cruise. He's a known commodity. I feel like he leads the kind of big action movies. I know that we've also had a little bit of diminishing returns with some of the Mission Impossible movies, but I feel like this one is coming out in a year when it's, I think, got less stiff competition against some of the other ones that have come out where I feel like the field was a little bit busier, and so
Yeah, certainly, Evan. Like the last for the Dead Reckoning Part One, it came out the week before
right,
Barbenheimer, the Oppenheimer Barbie doubleheader that just annihilated the box office, and it could never recover
right.
from that.
So I kind of feel like it's safer safer choice this time around to think, okay, yep, we got a new Tom Cruise movie coming out, big actioner. It's Mission Impossible. It's a known entity, so I feel like my chances are a little bit stronger with this one.
Like a lot of the marketing, Evan, too, has been like really leaning into like the idea of this being the final Mission Impossible, or at least trying to push people to feel that way
Mm-hmm.
about it. Because from the things I've seen, it's just like not only like legacy characters returning, but just an emphasis on like showing other Mission Impossible stunts that we've known and cherished over the last 8 or so films, and really trying to hit it home that like, oh, this could be Ethan Hunt's last stand. Um, to destroy this AI. I think like it's funny because they filmed 7 and 8 together, like so that's why Dead Reckoning was part one, and after it didn't do so well at the box office, they were like, let's not make people remember Dead Reckoning. Let's just call this Final Reckoning, and maybe they'll just like think it's a different movie. But I wonder like how much like the movie maybe was adjusted in tone from that first movie, or if like they're still gonna make it like, oh, this is a direct sequel and just play up into that. I mean, I guess like the story beats in the whole won't change too much. I think they still put us forward. I guess like Haley Atwell joined the cast in the last one. Uh, After seeing of her cast members leave, and yeah, I guess like I don't like people know that like he's gonna do an amazing stunt. I don't know like if a particular stunt will be what brings people to the movie theater,
Yeah,
but I hope it does good. I like almost every Mission Impossible movie, so I will certainly be there for this.
yeah, I figured you would be. I know you're a fan of the franchise. I am too, although I haven't seen the last couple, I think. But yeah, it's Tom Cruise. He knows how to headline a big action movie. He's pretty reliable in that regard.
Yeah, you should if you haven't seen Fallout, that one's really good. That one has Henry Cavill in it, and it's just like some insane stunts where like Tom Cruise is like flying a helicopter.
Yeah, I think I did see that one. So then I guess I just missed the Dead Reckoning part one.
Yeah,
Yeah, there were
yeah.
some
Because
pretty
this
intense.
one, he's like he in this one he's like tasked with like stopping an AI, and there's a big set piece at the end of the movie where him and Haley Atwell are like trying to get off a train that's falling off a cliff, a la like the Uncharted video game
Mm,
series, and it's a pretty cool set piece.
nice.
See, so you have one other movie to give us.
Yes. So I think I am gonna go with How to Train Your Dragon. So I mean I know there's like already a million of them. How to Train Your Dragon movies. I feel like they tend to deliver in the box office like steady, not like mind blowing numbers. For most of them, they've spun out into other stuff. Like they've done like some Netflix shows and things, and it's one of those live action adaptations. So I think there'll probably be a pretty solid built-in audience of people who are already going to go see this, and then there'll be like the standard group of people that are like, oh, okay, what's this How to Train Your Dragon thing, and maybe they'll you know go out to see it as well. And obviously, a family film, I think that also works in its favor. So another kind of summertime draw movie with go take the family too.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great play to play. These family movies, they tend to do really well in the summer. Um, Bring people out to see a movie, and How to Train Your Dragon is that known franchise. Evan, they Universal just opened uh, multiple theme parks in Florida, and one of their new theme parks is actually completely dedicated to How to Train Your Dragon in Isle of Burke, and so Universal has a lot of money and interests in making sure How to Train Your Dragon franchise remains in the front of people's minds. I think they've already
Mm-hmm.
greenlit a sequel to this live action adaptation, so that way
Wow.
that second story will also be adapted in live action. Um, yeah, I really I thought they're fantastic stories. I don't
Yeah.
know like how me as a person felt like we needed a live action How to Train Your Dragon. Maybe that's like it doesn't matter what you want, Max, but this is what we're doing. But it's a beloved franchise. I was looking at the comps for this, Evan, and I was surprised that like the animated films like don't blow like a lot of movies out of the water. I think like the third movie in the franchise, The Hidden World, did like 160 million domestically, whereas like it was a big winner internationally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that doesn't mean to say like this How to Train Your Dragon movie might even do better than all the animated movies. I don't know. It could. I mean, since it's not animated, it's a fantasy movie. It's going to be um, presumably a lot of great special effects. But I'd be interested to see how Universal spends this and if it's a success for them.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay, so that one is in June. Let's see. Did we already pick all my top movies? Yes. We're going down the list here to. All right, so my fourth movie is going to be F1. And this is the Brad Pitt Formula One racing movie. I think like Javier Bardem is in this too. I think I remember seeing him in the trailer. But really, this is Apple's big play into like, come see this movie in IMAX. We'll get all the large format screens
Mm.
and really blow you away with high octane racing. I don't think like I even care too much about like what the storyline of this movie is. I just kind of want to see it just for the vroom vroom action, and I think that's exactly what Apple's hoping people turn up to come see. Um, Actually, Evan, I don't even know if I know who the director of F1
it,
is, and normally that is like a big deal for me. Um, I think Apple is certainly hoping that the movie is more in line with um, the theatrical experience that like Top Gun Maverick was,
mm-hmm.
because everyone thought like they had to go to like the large format screens to see the movie in the best format it could. Okay, Joseph Kosinski is the director.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
He
it's funny that you just mentioned Top Gun Maverick because
Yeah, right,
Joseph
there you go.
Kosinski.
Yeah, so they went right to the source
Yep.
there, uh, to try to try and make their own Top Gun Maverick type movie. Yeah, we'll see. It says it has music by Hans Zimmer. That's pretty
Ooh,
cool.
yeah, Hans Zimmer. We're fans.
Late June is the release of this one. So I was so it's unfortunate, Evan. Like I was looking at the comps for racing movies, and unless you're Fast and the Furious or an animated racing movie, it's not that great. I found out that like the closest comp I could find for a racing movie live action was probably Ford v Ferrari a few years ago,
Hmm.
and that topped out at like 120 million domestically. I didn't go as far back to like adjust Days of Thunder for inflation, because I'm sure that did okay at the
Hmm.
box office, but I didn't go back to adjust that. So I'm sticking with Ford v Ferrari as a comp. That's like 120 million. I'm sure Apple and company have higher expectations than that for this. Um, I don't know. It seems like if it doesn't hit, that Apple probably won't release their films theatrical anymore.
Hmm.
Like famously, last year they were supposed to release this George Clooney movie called Wolves, and they kind of just like ducked out of that after like reviews and what have you were coming out, and they decided, oh, we're just gonna release that on our service. And so I don't know, like if F1 doesn't work for them, if Apple TV will just like kind of give up the theatrical game and just like make stuff exclusively for their service. We'll see.
Yeah, will be interesting.
And then my fourth pick will be, it's getting really down in the dumps now, Evan. Let's see. All right, I guess I'm gonna go with Elio and see if Pixar's new movie can leg it out a little bit. This one is coming off the heels off of Inside Out 2, but I don't expect it to do the same business as Inside Out 2 at all. Apple's kind of going, not Apple, Pixar is going back to the original um kind of movies, which that's what they were known for a long time, right, Evan? Is like every year they'd have a new original concept and it hit it out of the
Hmm.
park, and it was really exciting. uh that kind of went downhill during the pandemic, and then they came back, and they had some stuff. They had Turning Red, which I thought was a pretty fun original
Yeah.
movie. I think it was Luca. I think it's like a almost like a boy turns into like a, I don't want to say a mermaid, but like a fish creature or something, and like I don't know. I didn't remember that one too well.
Yeah, me neither.
um,
Didn't stick around really.
and then I guess like Elemental is how I kind of like picked a comp for Elio, and Elemental didn't open up all that great, but it ended up eventually grossing 154 million domestically, which I think would be a win for Elio. I've seen some of the trailers for this, and it doesn't like really like the concept doesn't really excite me at all. Maybe I'm again not the audience for it, but uh, I sometimes like you see these concepts for these Pixar movies, and you're like, oh well, that's really an ingenious concept, and I don't know if that's the case of Elio. Well, we'll see how it reviews, and maybe that'll be a big play into how it's received over the summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one
Um,
wasn't on my radar at all.
yeah, and it's funny because like before when we would do these summer movie games, we'd always pick Pixar movies because like they would be those family film slam dunks, and I don't know if that's necessarily a thing that I can depend on this year, but I guess when I for my fourth movie I can take a no, as that's my fifth movie, I can take a kind of chance on that one. All right, Evan, why don't you give us your last movie?
Oh, Max, I'm having such a hard time deciding what should be my last one. I feel like I've front loaded a lot of stuff in the like early to midsummer. I'm like, should I try and get one in like August? I don't know. I'm like looking at August and I'm just like, there's nothing really that I'm like thinking is gonna do particularly well. The box office in August, even though I also know it's kind of a dead zone anyway. So I'm really torn here. Um,
Yeah, I think like I have 5 movies. I kind of put together the Substack newsletter of my top 10 of the summer, and I think there's still like 5 movies on my list that like I would kind of pick between, but that last spot where you're picking now is just like it's really a toss up.
yeah, I'm really torn here about what to go with. I'm just like, this is what is gonna be good? Anything? Is anything gonna be good?
All right, well, since you picked an A24 movie last year, I'll give you the 5 that I would have considered in this spot. Okay.
All right, I'm listening.
Um. All right. The first one I would have considered is Ballerina.
Okay, that's one that
Uh.
definitely was circling my list, but earlier in the
Yeah.
summer.
I don't know. Like I don't think it's gonna do like John Wick Chapter 4 money, but
Mm-hmm.
like um I think that there's still room in that franchise for like an action movie, and maybe Armadillo Moss can do okay. Maybe if it like does like 90 million domestically, that will be a win. I was the only August movie I was really looking at was The Bad Guys 2, uh, playing off of the success of a franchise that has goodwill. I think The Bad Guys is a well received family animated film that maybe people will tune out for the second one, and it will have plenty of room in August to get some money. The first one kind of finished at 90 million, which is kind of low for an animated film, but
Right,
maybe this one will do better. I don't normally pick August movies because August is dangerous.
right.
Because outside of like I think like last year, it ends with Us got 143 million, and that was kind of surprising. The other ones I was looking at, Fandango said that there's a lot of hype for Freakier Friday, which is the Lindsay Lohan movie. Um,
Yep,
I don't
it's on
know
my
if that
list.
will turn into box office, but um, that's a Disney movie, so maybe. But Evan, maybe the other two that I just didn't know what to do with was Karate Kid Legends,
Yeah.
which I was surprised to learn that the last Karate Kid movie with Will Smith's son and Jackie Chan did 170 million domestic. Like
Wow.
I was shocked when I found that out. So I was like, oh, if you have Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio together, and on top of that, the Cobra Kai series just ended, so that brought like a lot of attention back to Karate Kid. Maybe there'd be a hungrier audience for a film like that. I know me personally, I'm looking forward to 28 years later. The trailer looks fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
but 28 weeks later didn't do very well at the box office here in America, so I
Right.
couldn't like pick it for a domestic film. So
Yeah, that's funny
those are
because
kind of the ones I was looking at.
yeah, it's kind of funny because those are all ones that I've like had in my running, and for similar thoughts, been like, I'm not sure if I should pick this. Like Ballerina, like you said, like I don't know what's gonna do John Wick business. Like um Karate Kid Legends, I was also kind of like, I'm not really sure. Freaky or Friday, yeah, like maybe it might do well, maybe it might not. I think you might have convinced me though to go with Karate Kid Legends because of what you said about the Cobra Kai show and it gaining a lot of following on Netflix. So I think that's gonna be my last pick is the Karate Kid Legends. Is- Going out on a limb.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of cool. Again, that's it's kind of like a Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio combination movie, the team up, if you will. Like they've released the first trailer, and Jackie Chan is like training somebody, and he just can't get across to the kid, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get this guy to really help out," and he like flies and says like, "Oh, it's a Ralph Macchio." Like, "Oh yeah, you're coming to train this kid." Like, there's no if ands or buts about it, and they both work on training him and for whatever means. And I don't know, it looks fun. It looks like a karate movie. Uh, Karate Kid movie. It's funny, like there's a line in the trailer, Evan. I bet you haven't seen it yet, but like Ralph Macchio it literally says like, "Let's make a Karate Kid." And I'm like, that's the best line for this franchise.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, if nothing else, I mean, like Evan, these films in the 5 rank. I don't know how often they do well. I think like maybe 2 years ago, I picked Oppenheimer in the 5, and that was like shocking because like
Yeah,
a
who would
movie
have
like
thought?
that had no business making as much money as it did. Yeah, all right. So Evan's 5 is Superman, Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, How to Train Your Dragon, and Karate Kid Legends. My 5 is Jurassic World Rebirth, Lilo and Stitch, Fantastic Four: First Steps, F1, and Elio. So, as we said at the top, we'll kind of update you as the summer goes along and let you know how the box office is. I didn't really look at the
Mhm.
schedule, Evan, to see like if like your movies are gonna come out all first and you'll come out to a big lead or what have you. But we'll see as it goes along, and I'm sure there'll be surprises. Every year there are some. I remember it's just like sometimes these movies come out and you're like, oh, this has to hit a home run, and it comes out and you're like, oh god, like the audience just isn't there for it, and um, there's certainly a lot of those here. I don't think any of these movies is as big of a slam dunk as either Inside Out 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine were last year.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see. We'll see how the summer plays out. Um,
Yep.
and okay, so before we get to what we've been watching, let's pause a little bit for some station identification. You've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast. You can always find us on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky. Look for either It's the Pick Pod or It's the Pictures, and you can reach out to us there. You can always email us at itsthepictures@gmail.com with your thoughts, and if you have any comments about what you think is going to be the best, highest grossing movie of the summer, or maybe your list of 10 movies, 5 movies, if you will, see how you do over the summer. That might be fun to see as well.
Mhm.
You can find me on Blue Sky most of the time at maxcolville.com, or just search for me, Max Colville. Evan, where can they find you?
Well, the main place you can find me is over at the other podcast I work on, Spoiler Piece Theater. But then you can also follow me on social media as Real Recon. That's real as in film reel, and I'm on. Let's see, Twitter still somehow. I don't even know how. I'm on Threads, Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram.
Okay, and as far as the Substack newsletter goes, we're still chugging along there. More recently, I posted a spring anime preview detailing some of the anime that you might want to try out during this spring season. Um, some good stuff in there. Some stuff that I've been surprised about. Uh, Also, I will be posting my top 10 summer movie box office preview for the newsletter, including all my comps and how I feel like these movies will play out. So you can check out that, which works almost like a written version of this episode, Evan.
Nice.
Um, and from there, Evan, we're gonna get into our guess that movie game.
Ooh, this will be fun.
Yeah, this is our like third or fourth time doing it. I came across a title today that I thought was perfect for our game, and we'll see how it
Okay,
goes.
let's do it.
Okay, Evan, your first hint is that this movie was released in 2001, and it was directed by Brian Helgeland.
Okay. Director, the guy who directed L.A. Confidential, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. 2001. Okay.
This movie co-stars Paul Bettany and Alan Tudyk.
Bettany and Alan Tudyk. 2001. Huh. Okay.
Let's see. It was released by Columbia Pictures, and it received mixed reviews from critics.
Huh. 2001. Paul Bettany and Alan Tudyk. I'm just trying to think what the heck movie were the two of those guys in together that I can even think of. This isn't. No, this can't be right. When did this isn't Serenity, right?
Nope. The film takes its name as part of the Canterbury Tales series.
Yeah. I'm still drawing a blank.
A,
Damn.
ta- a tagline on the poster says, "He will rock you."
He will rock you.
This movie stars the late actor Heath Ledger.
2001, starring Heath Ledger. Oh, is this a Knight's Tale?
That's it.
Oh,
That's
damn.
the one.
Wow. Really long time to get. Also, I've never seen that movie, so folks, I'm trying to guess a movie I've never seen. Wow.
This one I picked, Evan. A Knight's Tale is due to receive a new 4K UHD transfer within the next month or two. I have not actually seen this one either, but I know that fans of the late Heath Ledger really enjoy this one. Of course, outside of The Dark Knight and Brokeback Mountain, he was probably best known for this and what was that romantic comedy that he was in?
10 Things I Hate About You.
I kind of that's
Nice.
the one. So that's that one, and also A Knight's Tale were probably some of the more well-known movies you could have seen Heath Ledger in. I don't know. My wife says A Knight's Tale is really good.
Yeah, no, I know it has
know
quite the
what's that
following,
worth.
and I know it was on TV a lot for a while. I just never ended up seeing it.
All right. Well, we kind of stumped you this
yeah,
week.
you did. You got me through and through.
All right. We're gonna get into the what you've been watching section. Evan, I want to give my pipes a little breather. Can you tell us about what you've been watching?
Yeah. So, two things that I saw recently. One, I'll say that in honor of the late Val Kilmer, who recently passed away, I went back to revisit the 1985 comedy Real Genius that he co-stars in. And it's kind of funny watching it again because, I mean, it's one of my favorite 80s movies. It always has been, but I think this time really brought to sharp relief why I love it so much. And a lot of it is the fact that Val Kilmer, although he's not the main character, he's kind of like the emotional core of the movie because he's just so charming and charismatic and funny. And there are other factors that make it a good movie in my opinion. I mean, it's an 80s movie. It's a classic like 80s underdog movie where you got, kind of the nerds against the, and I put jocks in air quotes because it's not really jocks because this is a movie about like smart people, but they are like, going against the like evil professor played by William Atherton, who is great at playing a jerk, and they're going against the military industrial complex in this. I probably should have just said a one sentence kind of summary for this, listeners. I apologize. But this is about this is an 80s comedy about a kid who's like 15 years old. He's really smart and he goes to college and he's supposed to be there working on this like laser project. And Val Kilmer, who's been like the kind of lead smart guy there, he's like roommates with him and he teaches this 15-year-old kid like how to be cool and like have fun and like not take himself too seriously. And then in the process of this, they're realizing that the government and their professor are trying to use their laser project for nefarious purposes, so they decide to like get back at him. So that's the plot summary of the movie. But yeah, it's funny. It's filled with like good natured like pranks and hijinks, like and the kind of stuff you would think nerds would do for fun. So and it's got a great soundtrack, and of course, as an 80s movie, you got to have montages. This movie has not one, not two, but three montages set to music. So
Oh
I think these are
boy.
all great reasons to see it. So yeah, and it was a lot of fun going back and watching. Oh, and really good cinematography too, like amazing. Like the same cinematographer who did Close Encounters of the Third Kind did the cinematography for this movie. So that's another reason to check it out. Anyway, I'll step
Yeah,
off my
I'm
soapbox,
trying to
but
see.
say
No, I'm trying to, and this was directed by Martha Coolidge, which if
yes,
you're into finding movies that are directed by women, this might be one to check out.
yes, for sure. So that was one that I saw, and then I also watched the new thriller, the Christopher Landon thriller Drop with Megan Fahey, which I largely enjoyed. I thought it was really tense, really well done. She plays she's a mom, and she's a domestic abuse survivor who's going on this date, like first date in years. And when she sits down at the table, she starts getting these menacing, messages dropped to her phone. And the whole movie is like about her like dealing with this person that's like threatening her and is like blackmailing slash forcing her to do these things to like mess up her date. And I don't want to say any more than that because it's kind of fun to just watch it all unfold. But yeah, it's really tense and really well done. I was saying to Max off mic, there's some things in there that I think if you think a little too hard about it, you might get kind of hung up on. That was definitely what happened to me. But overall, it was a really tense and well done experience. I think it plays with the space at the restaurant very well, where it's set. And yeah, go see Drop.
Is that one you guys covered on Spoiler Piece?
It is, yeah, yep.
All right, so yeah, if you want to hear Evan talk about Drop even more and his co-hosts, go check out Spoiler Piece for their thoughts on Drop.
What have you been watching, Max?
Yeah, so Evan, I've actually not been watching that many movies. I think like the last movie I watched was, funny enough, a Val Kilmer movie. I went back and watched Top Secret for the first time,
Oh,
which
nice.
I guess was directed. It was directed by the people who did like Airplane and Naked Gun, so it's pretty funny. He plays like a um, night, like almost like an Elvis type of character who's supposed to go to Germany and give a concert, but like he gets in kind of wrapped up in like a plot, and then he has to save like a scientist or something. It's just the plot is really insubstantial to like the comedy that goes
Of
on. It's like
course, yeah.
kind of it's kind of just like secret agent kind of funny laughs, and you can see like it's kind of the acting abilities that Val Kilmer had and his timing for comedy. And so that was kind of fun. But also, Evan, in anticipation of the second season of Andor airing on Disney Plus soon, I spent money on the 4K release of Andor, having never seen it before, because like it had such like wild and great reviews of people saying like it's the best Star Wars thing that has been released in ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I like Diego Luna, like it's probably pretty good. And 4K, it can't hurt. So I bought it, and I think like I had seen up until like the fifth or sixth episode, which is after this like fantastic like heist episode where Diego Luna and some other people he's kind of teamed up with like kind of sabotage and Empire base or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, that was pretty great. And I picked it back up recently, and I was watching he there's like a prison arc, if you will, where he gets arrested, and he's an inmate at a prison, and they kind of have to like eventually break out of there. And certainly that episode was a highlight, and the finale episode was great too. But outside of Diego Luna, who I've always enjoyed, I really like the character of Mon Mothra in this one. I'm not familiar with the actress who's playing her, but like, even though like her material should be boring as hell because she's just like sitting on Senate meetings and like
Mm-hmm.
um talking about like, oh, how do I hide my money? I'm like, I'm kind of interested in like
Yeah.
what she's got going on. I'm a little less interested that like Leia's involved, because I'm like, can we please like have the Skywalkers not involved somehow? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
agreed.
I like it better when they're like kind of off to the side, and once you like remind me that they exist, I'm like, this is literally a universe with billions of people in it, and we have to keep on talking about the same five people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Evan, I did also say to myself, it's kind of like unfair of um I guess like Lucasfilm and Disney now to make me care more about Andor, because I've always thought that Rogue One was kind of boring, and I remember like falling asleep during watching it at one point. And now, if I rewatch it again, I'm gonna have like 20 hours of Cassian Andor backstory to bring into the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I'll care about him as a protagonist a little bit more.
It maybe. I mean, I liked Rogue One quite a bit. I was a fan. I was very underwhelmed by Andor. Way people had talked it up. I remember trying to start Andor multiple times and not even making it past like episode 2 or 3 for a long time, and then I finally was
Those
like,
first
oh,
episodes are
okay,
really rough. To give you that, I agree that they are really rough, because like I think I watched the
yeah,
first episode or two and I turned it off, and like I didn't go back to it forever.
mm-hmm, yeah. And then I finally sat down. I was like, okay, it's fine. Like I think it has some moments, but yeah, I don't think it's quite nearly as good as it other people are saying that it is.
I feel like early on in the season two that like they make a big emphasis about him like going and searching for his sister, and like that's like his raison d'etre, like his reason for being is to try to like find her if she still lives, and like
Mhm.
that kind of takes a back seat like in the second half of the season. Like it's not brought up all that much, and maybe that's all for the better that we just like aren't thinking about that anymore.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah, that's Andor season one. Season two's coming out soon. Evan, it seemed like everybody saved their new shows for the end of for April, heading into May for the Emmys and consideration and spring sweeps and what have you. Because not only do we have Andor, but we have like, oh, I don't know, The Last of Us, and Poker Face is returning,
I'm
and
so excited about
almost
Poker Face.
every almost every network has a new show worth watching out there, and it's a good time to be a fan of television.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But with that, I think that will do it for this episode of the It's the Pictures podcast. Thanks again, Evan, and had a fun time picking movies with you for the summer movie contest.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate your advice on that last the last choice. It was a real toughie.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you get a movie that makes over 100 million for that last choice, you're still doing pretty good. So we'll see how the summer takes us. And for me, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep. See ya.